I'm not even sure what brought it on. I mean, I am. I absolutely know. But I lie a lot when it comes to this stuff. So, I was thinking about business insurance, which led to me thinking about getting sued or my house burning down or getting kicked out or, you see what I'm saying? It really doesn't matter where it starts. It just starts, and then next thing you know, you are quite certain that the world is about to end, or you are. And the next thing you know, you can't breathe properly, and your throat closes up. And for me, I always like to think I'm special when it comes to these things. I always like to think like, you know, I have the special magic sauce. And what I realize is that in saying that, even as I say that like right now, it comes from a particular place. It comes from a memory of my mother's phobia about rodents. And I remember there was a time when we had like this canal at the back of our house. It was a very wild place. You know, what do you call them? Cat tails or whatever grew out, and we went and looked for frogs, baby frogs, tadpoles. We went and looked for tadpoles, and it was just a very wild place. And then they decided to fix it or to pave over it. And so for the longest time, everything, because our house backed right up against the canal, everything that was outside was trying to get in, it felt like, and most of those things seemed to be field mice. And my mom has a phobia. Rodents of any kind. You can... I used to do this thing sometimes. Yeah, I was a brat. But I used to do this thing sometimes when we would be at someone's house having dinner or whatever, and someone would have a mouse story or a squirrel story. And I would walk up behind my mother and I would touch her. And she would jump. I've always been a brat. That's just... So I would do that. Sorry. Breathing still isn't as easy as it should be. So I would do that. And I do remember there was a day when a mouse ran across our kitchen. Like, from, like, I don't know, was it inside the kitchen? It was like the space, the room between the dining room and the kitchen, because it's sort of open floor plan type deal. And my mom just flipped out, and she wanted my dad to do something about it. And his response was, "You're not that delicate. You're not that fragile." And of course, she wasn't the only one he ever said that to. Of course, he said it to me as well when I exhibited some form of weakness, or something. I'm trying to find my lip balm. but all I've got is lotion, and so that's just gonna have to do. And so that was his response, and which would, you would think, would lead you to the sense that you are absolutely not special, right? But what it does instead is it leads you to the idea, well, you learn that you're not special in your family. You learn that you don't deserve, special consideration, special care, no matter what. Now, he deserved plenty. He always had special attention, special care. Because, he had to pay attention to his moods and how things were said to him and all of that stuff. But you learn that you're not special, and you think that the lesson that teaches you is that you shouldn't expect help from other people. But what the lesson really teaches you is that you shouldn't be affected by the same things that other people are affected by, which is sort of how I got into the situation in the first place. I mean, all these horrible things happened starting in 2001, basically. And of course, about 9/11, I told myself, I didn't know anybody. It doesn't have anything to do with me. There's no reason for me to have trouble coping with this, because I'm not special. The people who are special are the ones who are there, and the people who lost people. And of course that is true, but it doesn't mean that it was without effect for the rest of us who watched people leap to their deaths from buildings. So it started there, and then I was already sick, but I was managing. Lots of people work sick. I'm not that special. So what's the big deal? And then a lot of bad things started happening. Like, I started therapy. And had my therapist tell me for the first time that I was what made my parents' marriage work. And I was the third person in it, and I needed to step out. And that was not a special thing. Shouldn't have been. Except it's hard not to blame yourself when things start to intensify because you've stepped out. And it's hard not to blame yourself when a month later you attempt suicide, to unalive yourself. And it's hard not to blame yourself when a month from there, your mother moves out of the marital bedroom. And it's hard not to blame yourself when she finally decides to leave. And it's hard not to blame yourself when your dad is angry with you because she left. And you don't disagree that she should have. Because, of course, to him, that's you taking her side. And not just taking the side of the fact that the two of them should probably never have been together. Which is what you've been saying, since you were 12 years old. And then you get sicker. And it's hard not to blame yourself. And then you get sickest. It's hard not to blame yourself. You get a diagnosis chronic fatigue syndrome. And that is really hard not to blame yourself for. And you're going to all these doctor's appointments and you're asking for help, and that's hard not to blame yourself for. And because after all, I am not special. And so after 7 years and 17 moves and living with people who were completely unstable for their own reasons, during a time when people were losing their homes. So 3 of those moves happened because people's houses, people who loved you and who opened their homes to you because they loved you, had to kick you out because they were losing their house. It is hard not to blame yourself, and it is hard not to feel like you should just shut up. Your mind should just shut up and stop thinking about this is something that is happening to you, or that you can't just put away and get on with the rest of your life. It's really hard not to blame yourself. And then when you have a nervous breakdown because the woman you're renting a room from has BPD and has a complete freak out on you, in addition to all of the freak outs that had been going on in that very hot house because air conditioner never seemed to reach your room. It's hard not to blame yourself, and suddenly you're weak and you're a wimp. You can't handle life. And what's the matter with you? You're not special. And so then when you finally do get your head around the fact that, no, you've not developed some kind of throat cancer that no doctor can see, and you haven't developed asthma that no doctor can hear, you do in fact have PTSD and panic disorder. It's hard not to blame yourself for not having known it earlier. And it's hard not to blame yourself for needing to take pills to manage your, what's the word I'm looking for? Not manage, but like self-regulate. Because self-regulation is your middle name. You've been self-regulating since you were a child. Things that kids cried about and begged for their parents' attention for, those were not things that you did. Those were things that you got over. Because when you tell your mom at 12 that you just finished spitting out a bunch of pills into a bottle of water, into a cup of water, because you wanted to unalive yourself, and she explains to you what an inconvenience it would have been for you to actually swallow those pills, because you would not have actually been unalive. You would have been a pain to have to take to the doctor, because so getting my head around the idea that little blue pills are the beginning of sanity for me at this stage of my life, now I think I'm special. Because I'm not that special. You know, all the things that happened, I'm not that special. Everybody has stuff. Why should I get some sort of weird pass that means that I need to take little blue pills, not Viagra, in order to keep feeling like I can breathe at this moment. So yeah, I'm not that special. And I will talk to you later. Hopefully over happier things.